All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to one of my live streams. I think this is. I have not live streamed since early July. Well, actually, late July, and then August was a travel heavy month. So in general, I attempted to take a hiatus and take a break from live streaming. So you saw numerous pre-records come up here on the channel. I appreciate those of you who watched. I appreciate Aquateki for that donation. And I appreciate you all who continue to support this channel as I attempt to grow it out. I want to thank Telling Stewart Mulatto Preservation LLC. Thank you for commenting on everything that I post up. I really, really appreciate the support I get over here. Science topics are not always the most, for a lot of the population, they're not always the most exciting topics, but these are important topics. I mean, they're fun for me, and I think for those of you who keep coming to see what I have to say here, I think you all enjoy this too. Floyd Holt, thank you. Well, let me start at the top. Telling Stewart says, good morning. She was in early before I started. Good morning to everyone in the chat. Good morning to all the cloud watchers. Floyd Holt says, good morning. And he says, it's been a minute. Yeah, so every once in a while, well, at least once a year, it's good to take a break from the live streaming. When you do it the way that I do it, there's usually information involved. There's usually a transfer of knowledge. And after a while, you get tired. And it's good to kind of take a step back to look at things and also to tweak some things and just kind of think about where things are going. And so it's good to take a hiatus. So that's what I did across all my channels. This isn't my only channel. All right. So everyone, so today we're gonna venture back into the realm of endocrinology. And we're gonna talk about a supplement called DHEA. And we're gonna talk about how this supplement is being prescribed for what's called geriatric pregnancies. All right. This just mentioning that term, geriatric pregnancy, may trigger some people, and well, I'll get to that afterwards. But the question may come up: why is Dr. Dunbar covering this? What does he care about geriatric pregnancies? Well, this is a STEM channel, so this falls under that umbrella, and this, as I'll describe in the article that I'm going to feature. I'm not going to read the article all the way through. I'm going to read probably 2 to 3 parts of it and then skim over the middle because it's a long piece. And so this is a novel topic. This is what's happening in society right now. Really, Chris, thank you for showing up in my chat, as always. Wow, it must be, I think you're in the middle of the country, so it's pretty early there where you are. Well, thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to play my revised intro, and then I'm going to jump in. Hopefully I can get this wrapped up within an hour.
So Anwar, I see you have the periodic tables on your chest.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that all about? Why are you walking around with a chemistry chart on your chest?
Well, Cheryl, so this channel is a STEM channel. So when I was conceiving of it and figuring out how to grow it, I figured I should have some t-shirts to go with it. So
okay.
the periodic table is critical to most of the
Okay.
scientific fields. Welcome to Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. Science and technology are all around us all of the time, and there are always science and technology stories to tell. There are always science and technology stories to tell. I just created that updated or that modified introduction yesterday. StreamYard is, I'm noticing with my audio files, my video files, it's cutting them off at the end. So I'll have to go back and adjust that. But that was a snippet from my conversation with Cheryl Pons of the Dietech Corporation. She asked me, why are you wearing a periodic table on your chest? And my response to her was, well, it's a science and technology channel, and the periodic table affects pretty much every science and technology, or it's involved with pretty much every science and technology. Okay, so this is Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. Let me make sure that I can see myself over on YouTube. I mean, the fact that you all are commenting, that means that you can see me. Yep, there is the red icon. And there's me. All right. So everyone, where did this stream come from? Well, I've done lots of content on reproductive biology. Oh, one thing. I'm wearing this University of Michigan Department of Pharmacology T-shirt. That is the department that I graduated from. But I wanted to say that the department is not. I'm not giving these talks on my channel on behalf of the department. So I just wanted to get that disclaimer out there. I don't want someone to go back and say, hey, one of your alumni is representing you all and giving these talks about various things. It's a t-shirt. I have it. I got a couple of years ago, and they're not officially sponsoring these talks. Okay. I'll give me 1 second here. I'm going to share this on my original channel. Shangazulu, I saw you there. Thank you for stopping through. And everyone, please let me know what you think as I go through this. These are a lot more fun when they are interactive. Okay, so I see myself over there. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today, this is likely going to, well, some people are going to say, well, I mean, those of you who come here regularly, you're not going to say this because you know that I cover science and technology topics over here, and there are a lot of topics that fit under that umbrella. But some people may look and say, well, why is Dr. Dunbar talking about geriatric pregnancies and freezing eggs and freezing sperm and all those things? What's behind it? Well, number one, as a YouTube content creator, your job is to create content. Okay. And well, some would argue that your job is also to entertain, but also your part of your job is to cover what's novel and what's happening now, and this is something that is happening now. There's a content creator who passed away within the last 2 years who brought the term geriatric pregnancy to the forefront. Up to that point, I didn't really know what that was. I didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about it, but that's a big deal now in our society. Okay, no judgment here. No judgment here. I'm not. Well, I will ask at the end of this, or at some point, is this the way it was supposed to go? Is this the way nature meant for this to happen? But right now in society, there are a lot of women who are waiting later in their reproductive lives to attempt to conceive. And in this article from the Washington Post, it spells out, okay, well, after a certain age, there's a drop. And then the further you go, there's another drop in the ability to conceive and reproduce. So before I jump into that article, before I jump into what DHEA is, let's do a quick review. Okay, so endocrinology. So when we're talking about the endocrine system, what are we referring to here? And naturally, I don't have the picture queued up, even though I thought that I did do this last night. All please, throughout this, let me know what you think there in the chat. Endocrine signaling. When you think about endocrine signaling, or when you're talking about the male and the female reproductive tracts, you're talking about systems that are impacted and that function through something called endocrine signaling. That means one set of cells or tissues in the body is creating a signaling molecule or a hormone. That signaling molecule drops into the bloodstream, travels to another part of the body, and then affects a target cell to do something else. So when I talked about endocrine disruption, a shout out to Doug for having me recall that principle. In that video, I talked about how let's see, I think it's luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone is generated in the anterior pituitary, that drops into the bloodstream, travels to the testes, and that stimulates the testes to start creating testosterone. So you're talking about communication from one tissue to the other, typically through the bloodstream. So that's endocrine signaling. Okay, there are whole textbooks on this. There are whole courses on this, and it's a vast field. I did videos on freezing eggs. Okay, that's a really, really big deal now. And in that video, I talked about the procedure, the actual how it works, and I also talked about the costs of freezing eggs and unthawing eggs and then attempting to get pregnant. Okay, this is a big, big business right now, and it's a big deal right now. I did a follow-up stream on, and I don't know how some of the men took this, but I did a follow-up stream on men. Do men have a biological reproductive clock? Because whenever you create something, oftentimes when you create something about females and about women, there's the feeling that, okay, well, men have to deal with this too. Men freeze their sperm as well. Men should freeze their sperm. So someone actually said that. I looked it up, and there's actually something to that. There's a, what's the word I'm looking for? There is a, geez, I can't think of the word. There's a thought process that men, once they get beyond a certain age, should freeze their sperm periodically, because what happens on the male side, what happens on the male side is that sperm production doesn't shut completely down, but what happens is there are increased mutations after a certain age. Okay, so there's a thought process out there that says that men should have children by a certain age. Okay, but after looking at all the information, it's not the same thing, because the men are still generating sperm. There may be mutations, but they're still generating them. But on the female side, it seems to me that after a certain age, things just kind of ratchet down. And the hormone, well, we know that the women go through menopause, and the hormones, that whole cascade, that whole process, that ratchets down in total. Okay, that's Alonzo and Shango Zulu greeting each other. Okay, so I did videos on that. This is a, in that video about freezing eggs, this is a visual of the egg freezing cycle. And it's a really, really big business, just like DHEA, which I will talk about today. All right, so what do we know? And this is just a brief review. I'm not going to go too deep into these. We know that there is a male reproductive tract, and there is a female. That's the wrong slide. There is a male reproductive tract, and there is a female reproductive tract. These are supposed to work together, assuming the man and the woman can work together. Or sometimes there are also accidents. But the male reproductive tract produces sperm, which fertilizes the eggs generated by the female reproductive tract. Okay, this is a visual of the female reproductive tract: the uterus, the ovaries, the cervix, the vagina. Okay, so again, all of these are controlled by hormones. When a woman becomes pregnant and she carries the baby to term, the baby, it grows and it incubates there in her in the uterus. It starts off as one cell, and then it divides and divides and divides until you have a small person in there. Okay, and at 9 months, that person is delivered, and then it still has to grow and develop afterwards. Now, the key thing here is, how does that happen? So we're going to go back to endocrinology. So there are fluctuations in hormones, and there are alterations in hormones in the woman. The two most prominent are probably the estrogen and the progesterone. So the estrogen, that causes, if I recall correctly, that causes that causes a mature egg cell to start its journey down the reproductive tract. And then the key hormone, though, for maintaining the pregnancy, for maintaining the uterus, is the progesterone. I don't have the slide queued up right now, but I do have a slide that shows that once that baby, once that embryo, that fetus, attaches to the wall of the uterus, I believe the uterus starts generating its own progesterone, and you could see it skyrocket for the term of the pregnancy, because that environment has to be comfortable and it has to be nurturing for that fetus. Let me see if I have it right here so I can show you all. Thank you to those of you who are hanging on through this. Progesterone. I have a lot of pictures in here. Oh, here we go. Progesterone during pregnancy. Okay, that one. And let me show this one too, because there's a reason I covered this. Here it is. So you can see over the 3 trimesters, progesterone, it continues to increase. Okay, I believe these are probably circulating progesterone levels in the blood of the pregnant mom, and then it peaks at the end of the 3rd trimester, and then once the baby's delivered, it goes down. And I think these changes in hormones are they impact the mood of the mother, and I think this has an impact on the postpartum depression and those kinds of things, because the hormones are cycling. And I originally covered this, going back to pharmacology. I covered this because I did a video on RU486, which is the morning after pill. That's right. I think I was doing all this around the time of the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Okay, this is all these things, the social, the science, all these things are interconnected like this. Everything is interconnected. So that's just a quick review on endocrinology and hormones, and why these things matter. Why these things matter. But a key concept to keep in mind, and I have to read up on this, is that from what I've heard, and I have to read up on it, is that as a woman ages, she generates less and less progesterone. And if she has less progesterone, then it's going to be harder for her to create that environment for an embryo and a fetus to grow and mature in her womb. Floyd Holt says, I lost internet connection for a few minutes. I have to catch up on this live. Okay. By the way, if anyone wants to make a donation to this channel, my Cash App and PayPal are here. I don't have a super chat or AdSense over here. All right. I think that's it for the review phase of this. Okay, so really quickly. So I did a video on a little while ago on cholesterol and LDL and HDL. That's something I'm trying to work on right now personally. So our bodies make cholesterol, and we can ingest it, and too much is bad, and too much of the wrong kind is bad. But the other significance of cholesterol is that cholesterol is the building block. Cholesterol is the starting material for our sex hormones, which we call androgens: testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. Those are all androgens, and the starting material, the starting structure, is cholesterol. Okay, so this is cholesterol here. I'll show it one more time. And this is the structure for testosterone. So those of you structural chemists out there, you can see how similar those ring structures are. And in one of the links I'm going to show you all, you could see here that we're going to talk about DHEA, testosterone, estrogen, and estradiol. Those are all similar structures. Okay, so why does all of this matter? Before I jump into this discussion about DHEA and geriatric pregnancies, well, one of the things that I think we're witnessing, and something that's fascinating to me, is population collapse and the negative reproduction rate. And one question that has to be asked is, why is this happening in the United States? It's not happening in every country around the world, but certainly it's happening here in the United States. I'm not going to get into all of it right now. Shout out to the nameless protagonist. He's created a lot of content on the Mouse Utopia experiments. I may have him over here to talk about that. But I think the conclusion was in those experiments was once population gets to a certain level and things get too comfortable or so comfortable, eventually things just naturally, the reproduction naturally slows down and the numbers naturally collapse. Okay. But in the case of humans, certainly social factors are probably playing a role in this as well. And as I will describe in this piece I'm going to read, one of the things that we're seeing in society is women waiting late into their reproductive years to attempt to have children. Okay. And we know that there's an optimal time window in that window is not infinite. It's finite. It eventually goes away. So as I will describe in this article that I'm going to feature here, this is a big business. Okay, this is a big business, helping or at least providing hope and providing treatment to women in their late 30s and then into their 40s who feel like they want to get pregnant and have a child. Okay, this is a very, very big business. Hence the whole freezing eggs thing. And there are a whole lot of medications and supplements and procedures around that. And this is big business. So there are a lot of entities, and that's just conceiving later. There are a lot of entities who are looking to capitalize on this phenomenon that we're seeing, this waiting until later to try to have children. And then even when unsuccessfully having children, there are a lot of entities who are capitalizing on that. The fact that there's going to be, or there is a population of women who don't have children, who can't have children. And well, I think I'll just say that there are entities and businesses who are looking at that and saying, okay, how can we profit from this? And so you're seeing, if you haven't seen it yet, you're probably going to see the emergence of industries and whole sectors just to sell and accommodate those women. Okay, where did today's topic come from? Well, I have a subscription to the Washington Post. I get this every week. For a while, it seemed to stop, and then they started delivering these again. So I actually sat down before going on hiatus. I read through it, and I found this article here. I found this article here in the Washington Post. Some would call it the Washington Compost. When I found this article in the Washington Post, Alonzo Hall says, Dr. Dunbar, did you or will you touch on sterility? So sterility, that is the opposite of fertility. I have not touched on sterility, Alonzo, but I probably will at some point since you just brought it up. Okay. So I found this article in the Washington Post. I was reading and just seeing what was new and novel. And I wasn't looking for this, but it was there. And I said, okay, this looks interesting. So it turned out to be a long story. It is entitled "How a Renowned Fertility Doctor Profits from an Unproven Supplement." There's no definitive evidence There's no definitive evidence that DHEA works as a fertility booster, and and Norbert Gleicher doesn't tell all his patients he owns a company that sells it. Okay, so what this article is about, and there's part of my thumbnail there. There's an image of a woman. I think that pill initially, when you look at it, that is the image of a woman holding her womb, but the artist put in a picture of that's a DHEA tablet there. Okay, so this is a bit of a I want to say it's political satire, but that's what that's showing. Normally she's holding a womb, but in this instance she's holding that pill and hoping that that will help her get pregnant. Okay, so this article is about this gentleman, Norbert Gleicher, and this gentleman actually has a channel here on YouTube advertising his services and advertising some would say advertising hope for older women who want to conceive. Okay. And as I'll describe, this is controversial because he's selling the supplement. One of the arguments is he's selling the supplement and providing hope, potentially false hope. But he's a stakeholder in the company that produces this supplement. So he's pushing the supplement aggressively. So it's a conflict of interest thing. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a conflict of interest thing, a potential conflict of interest thing. Okay. So I'm going to read the first part of this. There are a few notes here, and then for the middle of it, and then I'm going to read the ending because this is a long piece. But there's some things here that I think are worth bringing to the surface, and I think there's some things here that are worth pointing out. All right. So everyone, bear with me. Please smash that like button if you haven't. I see people coming in, and some coming in, some leaving. If you're still here, however long you're here, please smash that like button and continue letting me know what you think in the comments section below or in the chat. Okay, again, this is from the Washington Post. This is not me writing this. This may touch some feelings. All right. Older women struggling to conceive often find hope in the over-the-counter steroid hormone supplement called DHEA. Though evidence for its effectiveness is weak, DHEA has rocketed to prominence as a fertility booster, thanks largely to one man, Norbert Gleicher. That's the picture I just showed everyone. Gleicher, 74, is among a small cadre of prominent fertility doctors. He said in an interview that he identified the aging ovary as the issue of the future more than 2 decades ago. So 2 decades ago, 20 years ago, he looked into the future and said, okay, well, this is going to be a thing. If I could talk to him, I'd be curious to see what he saw. Maybe he saw the changing social trends. Maybe he saw the increased waiting for getting pregnant and having families. Maybe that's what he saw. But according to this, he saw our modern circumstances 20 years ago. Gleicher, 74, is among a small cadre of prominent fertility doctors. He said in an interview that he identified the aging ovary as the issue of the future more than 2 decades ago. His small clinic in a neo-Georgian townhouse on New York's Upper East Side has become a beacon for women in their 40s trying to conceive with their own eggs, a statistical long shot. Gleicher tells most of his patients to take DHEA, short for dehydroepiandrosterone. Dehydroepiandrosterone. That's a tongue twister. To help their ovarian follicles mature in preparation for in vitro fertilization, or IVF. Among the brands he recommends is one sold by a company he owns, an arrangement he acknowledged in an interview is a potential conflict of interest. He said he doesn't always directly inform every patient of his ownership stake, but I think the patients who care know about it. Okay. A publicity conscious entrepreneur who prides himself in bucking consensus, Glacier is part of a group of fertility gurus filling the yawning void of information around women's reproductive health, sometimes with answers that benefit themselves financially. In recent years, Glacier has gone into business with a former patient, obtaining patents with her for DHEA's use as a fertility treatment, and partnered with a popular fertility book author who cites Glacier's research and recommends the supplement sold by his company for fertility nutraceuticals. His company's prices are around 4 to 7 times as high as other popular brands. The Food and Drug Administration and the Federal Trade Commission warned Glacier in 2021 to revise his claims for DHEA and 2 other products, saying they are not generally recognized as safe and effective for use as fertility boosters. Independent experts such as the Mayo Clinic caution against taking DHEA, citing serious side effects and a possible link to cancer. Glacier said he believes the evidence for DHEA is strong and that he is driven by a single goal: helping the most desperate patients get pregnant. We wanted to become known as the center where you go if things don't work elsewhere, he said. Okay, so this is the Washington Post saying this. This is not me. All right. Women's fertility begins to decline around age 30 and drops rapidly after 35. Still, a rising number of older women are seeking to get pregnant. In 2021, women over the age of 42 began more than 12,200 in vitro fertilization cycles, according to the preliminary data from the Society for Assisted Reproductive Technology, a 25% increase from 2020. Okay, so let me read that again. I think this is one of the most important takeaways from this article. All right. And I don't know that young women are across the board are told this at home and as they go out to college and to start their lives, if they're on that track. Again, some people have accidents early on in life when their fertility windows are when their fertility is at its peak, but certainly education and the pursuit of careers adds other dynamics. So let me read this again. Women's fertility begins to decline around age 30 and drops rapidly after 35. Still, a rising number of older women are seeking to get pregnant. In 2021, women over the age of 42 began more than 12,200 IVF cycles, according to preliminary data from the Society for Assisted Reproductive Technology, a 25% increase from 2020. Go Professor, thank you for, that's you. Thank you for stopping through. Peace to everyone. Like button press on the way in, supporting the channel. Thank you very much for coming through and hitting the like button. Okay. The average of Glacier's patients is 43, and the population he treats is by far the oldest of any reporting in vitro fertilization center in the country, he said. The vast majority come to his clinic after failing to get pregnant elsewhere. DHEA is no miracle drug. Among his clinic's patients over 40 using their own eggs, only 2% of IVF cycle starts resulted in live births in 2020. According to data collected by the federal government, that's lower than the percentage for women over 40 at clinics nationwide who report live births in 7.6% of attempts. Gleicher says that given the ages of his patients and their difficulty getting pregnant elsewhere, his success rate, however slight, is actually pretty astonishing. He works with a variety of patient. He works with He works with a very different patient population with very low chances of getting pregnant at all, said Emanuela Molinari, a former laboratory director at Gleicher's clinic, the Center for Human Reproduction. It's kind of a hopeless idea. Okay. So again, everyone, that's the first part of the article. I wrote down some notes for the middle part, and I think I'm going to read the ending. But as you can see, this is, again, today in 2023, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. There's a large population of women waiting into their 40s to attempt to do this. And it seems that it's more complicated at that age. And they're running to experts like this to attempt to get this done. So this is a big deal. Okay. So let's see. I jotted down some notes here. This is a long article. Under this section, a lack of information, I wrote down from 2017 to 2021, there were 1,550 in vitro fertilizations attempted. I wrote down out of 728 in vitro fertilization cycles, there were only 7 births during that time. Let's see. This gentleman is working with one of his patients. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to skip down to this part and I'm going to read it. It says, this part reads, researchers are divided. Okay, and I'm going to just take a quick look when I finish with this at what DHEA is and what it's used for. So everyone, this is the structure of DHEA. This is the actual structure. So as you can see there, it looks similar to cholesterol and it looks similar to testosterone. So this is the supplement in question in this article that large sums of women are taking with the hope of getting pregnant later in life. Okay, Gleicher has co-authored studies that found better IVF results and higher pregnancy rates for those who took DHEA, but none of the studies are randomized controlled trials, which medical experts say is the gold standard for demonstrating a drug's efficacy. Okay, so I believe this is unregulated. So what does that mean? So as I've read, this gentleman does not have the support of the FDA, right? The Food and Drug Administration. The Food and Drug Administration, they approve drugs and medications for the general public. So I wrote this piece here. If you guys want to know what regulatory science is, this piece is below in the description box. And this talks about what regulatory is. So the Food and Drug Administration is a regulatory authority. So that means it's their job to look at these drugs and test and determine the safety and the efficacy of drugs. So this article is saying that he does not have the support, basically, of them. And so when you're talking about randomized trials and and blinded controls and those things. You're talking about regulatory science and determining whether or not these drugs are actually effective at what they're claimed to do. I want to thank Sun Touched for the generous Cash App, and also Charles Franklin for the generous Cash App. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to finish this Washington Post piece, and then I'm going to wrap up. Okay. Glacier has argued against such trials for DHEA, writing in a comment to a medical journal in 2016 that DHEA was an inexpensive and practically risk-free treatment, and that randomized controlled trials for it would not be worth the effort. So, in other words, the way I'm reading that, he's saying, you know what? Don't worry about testing it. It's fine. It's fine the way it is. Just allow us to keep using it and selling it. The stance is not acceptable from a scientific point of view, said Peter Lorre, the president of the Center for Science in the Public Interest, a nonprofit advocacy group in Washington. If you bring a product to market that raises the hopes of women experiencing infertility, you ought to be undertaking exactly those investigations. Other researchers have done randomized controlled trials on DHEA use in vitro fertilization with mixed results. One found a higher live birth rate among women who took DHEA, and another found higher pregnancy rates, but a third found no difference in response to the fertility drugs, fertility drugs or IVF outcomes between control and treatment groups. 4 reviews and meta-analyses in 2015, 2017, 2021, and 2022 found no benefit of DHEA, especially when only the best quality evidence was considered, while 2 others in 2016 and 2018 found that it improved live birth or pregnancy rates. Rachel McConnell, an assistant professor of obstetrics, I think I pronounced that correctly, and gynecology at Columbia University in New York, said her patients sometimes ask her whether they should take DHEA. She said she tries to ensure they understand what the literature says. It's just not evidence-based medicine that we can say for sure is going to make a difference. Okay. So guys, that's the end of that piece. There was something else I wanted to pull out here about a woman and her husband. Because I think it drives home how big a deal this is. Okay, I'm going to read these 3 paragraphs. The American Society for Reproductive Medicine has issued no guidelines on the use of DHEA. The European Society of Human Reproduction and Embryology said in 2019 that its use is probably not recommended for women who respond poorly to in vitro fertilization, citing inconsistent evidence. Studies on DHEA's effectiveness have been mixed. Okay. And nothing is risk-free. Rachel, the New York fertility patient, said she woke up in the middle of the night recently with a racing heart 2 days after tripling her DHEA dosage to 75 milligrams per day, the standard therapeutic dose at her doctor's recommendation. She told her husband it felt like she was having a heart attack. The feeling went away after she decreased her DHEA dosage. When she reported the issue to her clinic's nurse, she was told that DHEA can cause an irregular heartbeat. Okay, so What I wanted to share from this is that this is we're seeing a lot of this today. There's a huge market for uh, women who want to get pregnant on the back end of their reproductive cycles. Okay, and uh, this gentleman here, Dr. Norbert Glacier, he has a clinic and he's highly prescribing this supplement DHEA, and there's a whole business around this. And the success rates, according to this article, seem to be pretty low. But there's a large population of women attempting to do this, and there are side effects with this drug, as I just read. Um, this woman experienced she felt like she was having a heart attack because she increased her dosage that significantly, and also if I recall correctly, in some references, there's cause for cancer. So there's concern for cancer, not cause for cancer. There's concern for cancer with this drug. Hubert Rain, I was a big fan of your work, Dr. Dunbar. Oh, thank you, Hubert. Appreciate that. I never know, especially on this channel, I never know who is. I never know who this is resonating with. But please share this content out. Help me grow this channel. Right now, I'm at 1,285, so I need 15 more subs to get to 1,300. So, yeah, if you guys would share this, that would be very, very helpful. So this is a novel science topic. Not a lot of the mainstream media, I don't think they're talking about this. And but some people who read the Washington Post, like myself, on occasion, are looking at these stories and seeing what's going on. It's funny, the morning after I read this article, I was talking to a mentor, and he said that he saw the article too, and we were talking about many of the societal changes, such as the ones that would influence women to wait longer in their reproductive cycles. I'm going to show one more link here, and I'll just kind of go through this a little bit quickly, and then I'm going to wrap this stream up. This is a blog, and it's called The Down Low on DHEA. Okay, so this link, the article I just showed you guys from the Washington Post, that's in the description box. This link is in the description box. In my blog post on regulatory science, that's going to be in the description box as well. For the Washington Post article, you might have a few clicks to look at that, but I think it's behind a paywall. I have a subscription, so I can read it as many times as I want, but it might be behind a paywall, so you might want to find it through another platform. So, what is DHEA? Okay. Dehydroepiandrosterone is a hormone produced by the ovaries, adrenal glands, that plays a crucial role in the body's hormone balance. DHEA levels decline as women and men age. So that's both of us. And the decrease in DHEA production is associated with various age-related symptoms. In this blog, we'll discuss DHEA use, how it works, what it does, and its benefits and risks. Okay. I'm not going to read this entire page. I'll probably do this paragraph, skip down to some of the visuals, and then I'll wrap up. Dehydroepiandrosterone is a steroid hormone produced by the ovaries and the adrenal glands, and it plays a vital role in the body's hormone balance. DHEA is a precursor hormone that can be converted into other hormones such as estrogen and testosterone, which play essential roles in the body, otherwise known as a prohormone. DHEA is the most abundant naturally occurring base for hormones in the body. Humans make more and more DHEA from birth to about age 25. To about age 25. You know, years ago, as a matter of fact, during 2001, I blew my left knee out and I had to have the patella tendon repaired on my left knee. And I remember in the physical therapy, one of the therapists told me 25 is your last good year. You can recover from things very, very quickly up to age 25. And then after age 25, recovering from injuries is more of a struggle. So this may have something to do with it. Changes in your body's hormones. Okay. Please smash that like button if you haven't. If you want to donate something to the channel, CR Frank posted my Cash App and PayPal there. And I appreciate the donations that I've gotten thus far. Please smash that like button if you haven't. If you're new, please consider subscribing. People make the most DHEA during their prime reproductive years. Optimum health, energy, and mental sharpness between the ages 18 to 25. This is when humans are naturally most fit to have children, think clearly, and have the physical strength to best care for their offspring. To read, to help them deal with the traumatic experience that is raising a toddler, etc. At around 30, DHEA levels begin to decline for the remainder of life at a rate of about 2% per year. By age 70 to 80 years, DHEA levels can be as low as 20% to 10% compared to younger individuals. Because DHEA is important for many functions in the body, its decline correlates with the steady decline in many functions in the body, those often associated with the aging process and the increase in disease states. Okay. So it seems to be an important hormone for a number of things, but for the sake of this topic, these fertility clinics, this one in particular, run by Dr. Norbert Gleicher, they seem to think it's an important supplement for helping women with in vitro fertilizations. Alonzo says that may have something to do with issues in our community and some men's issues in certain spaces. Okay. So I think Alonzo may be talking about sterility there, since he asked me about sterility earlier. I'm going to show this infographic here. This, again, everyone, this link is below in the description box. I don't know why they're using a visual of just a woman, but this visual is of a woman. So let's see. So specific effects acts on many of the neurotransmitters to increase concentration, memory, learning, mood, and sense of pleasure and contentment. I meant to mute up for that. Supports healthy heart. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see. Mood and sense of pleasure and contentment in life. Supports healthy hearts, improves insulin sensitivity, makes other hormones, balances elevated cortisol and combats stress, improves sexual function, and supports bone building. And over here for overall effects, it enhances quality of life, improves immunity, provides antioxidant effects, reduces inflammation, supports healthy body composition and muscle growth, and it improves blood flow, helps with aches and pains, and increases energy. Okay, and then for the risks, let's see. Some of the risks include hormone-related cancers. I'm just going to read over this briefly. Acne and hair loss, hormone imbalance in women with pre-existing estrogen dominant conditions, And then finally, liver toxicity. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of this. I showed this particular diagram earlier, but I think this is probably a good place to stop. So I just wanted to, I read this article in the Washington Post, and me and a mentor talked about it the next morning. So he saw it too. We always talk about society and where things are going and how things are evolving. And that's one thing we talked about. So this is the article here. How a renowned fertility doctor profits from an unproven supplement. So this gentleman, Dr. Norbert Glacier, he's a stakeholder in the company that's producing DHEA, and a lot of older women are coming to him with the hope of getting pregnant, and he's really aggressively pushing or prescribing this supplement to them to help them get pregnant, or hoping to help them get pregnant. But I think one of the main takeaways is that this is a big business. Should I say this? Yeah, and there are a lot of businesses that are springing up around uh, this population of women who don't have children, and there are economies and businesses that are springing up around them to take advantage of this particular circumstance. One person on another channel, I'm not going to go too deep into this, joked about investing in pet products because of something like this, because a very, very small percentage of these women, according to the article, are able to get these done, and a very small percentage are able to successfully do this. And well, if they're not able to get this done, then that brings in other circumstances and lifestyle adjustments. I'll just say that brings in other things. So this is a very, very big business, and there are other businesses setting up around this type of thing. Gigami says, I once told fellows and people on channels that the threshold of 25 years old for optimal marriage age women was linked to endocrinology and neuropsychology. Well, Gigami, well, here you go. Here's a reference. I don't know if you were referencing anything in that discussion, but here you go. It says it in this article that it all starts to, on the female side, it all starts to ratchet down at a certain age, and it keeps going beyond age 35. And I'm going to wrap this stream up because I'm at an hour. As I was getting ready for the stream, I was thinking a bunch of different things. Are girls taught about this, well, in health class, at home? Are they taught about this when they set out into the world? I think the answer is probably no, especially in today's day and age. And then the other thing I thought about was from a nature perspective. Is this what nature intended for us? Did it, because nature is not a they, nature is it. Did nature intend for this circumstance? Is this what we are supposed to be doing as a species in terms of reproduction? And do some of the narratives need to change around this particular thing? And who's saying that it's scientifically plausible to wait until your late 30s and your early 40s to attempt to conceive. Who is saying that? Who is preaching and teaching those messages? So these are just some things that I thought about as I was getting ready for this stream last night, because this is a sensitive topic. Some people may listen to this and want to sock me for talking about this, but this is a real thing. This is happening, and it's happening. It's all unfolding in front of many of our eyes. Yeah. Corrine says, personally, I know of a Dominican supplement that has helped 2 of my 40 plus friends get pregnant. Caveat, they already had a child/children though. It's a natural herb from the DR and not FDA approved. Okay, Corrine, I'd love to hear some more about that herb and what that is. If you have the name for it, well, you know how to get in contact with me. But if you know the name of it, yeah, please share that with me. I'd like to do some research on what that is and how it works. Giyagami says, yes, indeed, doctor. It all decreases at 25, as you showed. There's also neurological changes which occur in both male and female brains, reducing risk-taking and setting people in their habits. Okay. Wow. Well, one of the things that stood out to me when I showed that infographic or that diagram of what DHEA does, I thought it was interesting that it's involved in mood and contentment. I thought that was interesting. Mood, concentration, memory, learning, mood, and sense of pleasure and contentment in life. All right. Well, everyone, I've been talking for about an hour. I hope somebody got something out of this. I did not do this. This is a very, very sensitive topic because this is as I described as the article described. I didn't describe the art. I didn't describe it. The article depicted this. There are a lot of women who are waiting to do this, and it's a pretty big deal. So this causes a lot of distress. This can cause, I imagine this can cause a lot of distress in later years if you realize it's something you want to get done, but your body can't do it anymore. So I imagine this is very, very stressful if you're in that circumstance. Giyagami says, many people in the West think it's just old customs, but it's rooted in nature analysis. That was to Alonzo Hall. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap this up. Hey, please share this stream out. I didn't do this to be a jackass. I didn't do this to single anybody out. I didn't do this to shame anybody. And I just think that this is something that society needs to think about. And when you think about our country being at negative replacement and needing to bring in migrants, because that is the other part of this story, is that the country and the economy need bodies. And if there aren't enough bodies, if there aren't enough workers, then this society as we know it would collapse. So that's the other part of this migration thing, this immigration thing. And Corrine, you're in New York City. So I'm seeing clips of Mayor Eric Adams and Governor Kathy Hochul deliberate over this and argue over this. I don't know how bad it actually is there in the city, but that's in large part why they're doing this. That's in large part why they are bringing these people into the country, because as Senator Chuck Schumer said, flanked by those many Hispanic politicians, fellow politicians and peers, the population in this country is doing a bad job of reproducing itself. But I don't hear any discussion as to why and what's leading to that. But that's in large part, we could talk about New York City, cities like New York City and Chicago being overrun. We could talk about what negative effect these migrants and immigrants are having on Black people and in Black neighborhoods, and just in general, and how lots of money is being spent to put these people up in hotels, and the fact that certain crimes have started because they're here, but that's why they're bringing them in, because they need bodies, and they don't want the population to collapse to the point where the country will collapse. And I think Vice President Harris, I didn't see her comments. I think she made some comments about population decline herself. I have to listen to that and see what she said. But they know, our political class, they know what's going on. And they are doing what they think is right. But I say, for the population here that's having a hard time reproducing itself, why not talk to them and try to change course a little bit? Giyagami says, first, he says, it's informative as usual. This is Kareem, not Giyagami. You're doing good work. People need to wake up and get out of their emotions and look at facts. Giyagami says, the biology didn't follow the ideology. Yeah, so this also gets to how does culture or does biology shape culture? Right now, it looks like culture is at least impacting biology. Giyagami says, great stream, great information, truly necessary. Your dedication to science and others is greatly appreciated. Thank you for that. Alonzo says, Giyagami agreed. Alonzo says, the birth rate is lower because we don't have labor anymore. And with AI, it's going to be worse. You know what, Alonzo? There's the AI piece too. And me and Dr. Patrick Dix talked about that. Is there going to be a need for people? Or is it better to have less people with what's coming? There's so many parts to this. Isada said, thank you for stopping through, Isada. She said, I've got 7 children and 5 of them were born after I was 25. The children just kept coming. I had my last one at 36. Okay. Corrine says, okay, I don't know what that's referring to. Giyagami says, which in turn will be used as a reason for the necessity of artificial gestation technologies and societal re-engineering for economic and demographic reasons. Alonzo Hall, the All-Star Advisor. So I think this is referring to artificial intelligence. Look out for the artificial womb technology as well, because if you have fewer and fewer men and women procreating, well, I think you'll always have it in certain demographics and in certain circles. But if you have the masses not reproducing, then I don't know if this will look like the Matrix, but the only solution may be to artificially create humans. This is speculation here. Kareem says, I heard they are now doing artificial embryos. Is that true? I don't know. I know The technology is being developed. It's being developed. I don't know at what stage it is in terms of rolling it out. And even when they roll it out, that's going to be controversial, because you'll have, in theory, whole populations of people who weren't born the natural way. And we're going to find out, is there something special, and is there something particularly important about being born the natural way? How will people born artificially, will they be humans as we know them, or will they be something else altogether? Okay, this will probably be the last one I read. Isada says, gestation is so complex. Will the artificial way work? There you go. And will those people be functional and normal, quote unquote, as we know functional and normal to be? There's a lot here. But this is in large part due to what's happening now. Okay. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm at an hour and 16 minutes. I want to watch some football today and catch up on some reading. So thank you to everyone who came in, and thank you to those of you who hung out through all of this information. This is happening now, and not everybody is talking about this. So if you can, please share this out. And well, if you have young people in your circle, consider mentioning some of this. Okay, you're not gonna, your bodies are going to change as you progress in age, and some things that were taught to us as Gen Xers may need to be rethought and reconsidered. A quick story before I wrap up. I recall between my folks, my father telling me that there was anytime after 27 was a good marrying age. And in my family, marriage was linked to having children and not having quote unquote accidents. I remember my mother, I don't think she said that there was a distinct marrying age. You just do it when you do it. However, and so my father told me after 27. So I can imagine maybe some of this is due to girls being told, yeah, think about everything. Think about all that stuff after 27, or think about that stuff in your 30s. Think about that stuff after you have everything done, your schooling, your career. So a lot of things that we were taught as a group, I think, need to be retaught and rethought and reconsidered for the sake of the species. So, all right, everyone, I'm going to wrap this up. Most of you, I think, in the chat know that I have a newsletter. For the new people, I'm going to share this. There's a 2-paragraph greeting there. I'm a writer, and I use YouTube in part to promote myself as a writer. There's a 2-paragraph greeting. There is a subscription button at the bottom. You just enter in your email address there, and you are part of the group. I try to send these out every month. It was a hectic summer with a lot going on, so I got to send one out recently, but I plan to make this normal again. And thank you to everyone who has signed up. So with that, everyone, thank you to everyone in the chat who participated. If you're watching on the playback, please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Again, this was brought to my attention through the Washington Post, and freezing eggs, freezing sperm, in vitro fertilizations, DHEA, all of these things are happening now in our modern society. And I think I have a picture here. Yeah, this is a picture, before I wrap up, this is a picture from that Washington Post article. Well, number one, this is a picture of, I think, of a technician working on in vitro fertilizations at a lab bench there. She's using a micropipette and some petri dishes of some sort. And then this is a picture of the medications that are used for in vitro fertilizations. I should have showed these earlier, but this is a big deal, and this is a big business now. All right, everyone, until next time, I will have a topic for next week. I don't know what it is yet, but thank you for tuning in and watching. If you're new, please like, share, and subscribe. And with that, as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Once again, I got to say this one more time. The University of Michigan Department of Pharmacology is not supporting this talk, or they did. This is not being given by them. I'm an alum, so I'm giving this talk, but this particular talk did deal with pharmacology and endocrine pharmacology. So I will wear my paraphernalia during these videos, but they are not officially sanctioning these talks on this channel. All right, everyone. I will talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.